I think we completed this one. What do you guess? Did we complete the example of statement of retained earning in the previous class?
No sir, छैन सर यो पढेको
Statement of retained earning.
पढेकै छैन त
Yeah, lastly we were discussing on this question 2.2.
रिटर्न अर्निङको फर्मेटहरु लेखिसकेको छ सर
यति चाहिँ सकेको हो हामीले
हजुर
अनि मैले यो क्वेशन चाहिँ गर्नु भने हो ल and what is statement of retained earning? Statement of retained earning is a financial statement, is one of the financial statements which is prepared at the end of a date, at the end of a period, at the end of a year to show the amount of profit distribution to dividend as well as reserve. Therefore, mainly statement of retained earning is prepared to determine the amount of retained earnings at the end of the year after distribution of profit to dividend and reserve. Therefore, we are given or we have the ending balance of retained earning from the previous year, and that is given inside the trial balance, which is written under the statement of retained earning. And we add the net profit calculated from the income statement in the current year. Net profit and retained earning of previous year, they are added, they both are the profit. Net profit is the current year profit, retained earning, beginning balance of retained earning is remaining amount of profit in the previous year, like ending balance of retained earning we calculated in the current year. So ending balance of previous year becomes the beginning balance of retained earnings. So both are the profits, so they are added and written in the total amount is written in the amount column or second amount column or in total column, out of which we allocate or we distribute, or as given in the question, we allocate the amount of profit or we distribute the amount of profit called distribution. You can write or not necessary. It's not necessary. Distribution of PROFIT, profit. Distribution of profit in terms of dividend, in terms of reserve. So company distributes the dividend after payment of tax. The remaining amount of profit is the net profit after tax, and out of this net profit, company distributes the profit to dividend and profit to reserve. And after distribution, thus some amount of profit still remains. That profit is called ending balance of retained earnings. So this is the main objective of preparing the statement of retained earnings. Now we have here one more question, so we are going to discuss this example. Then after we discuss the full questions, income statement and retained earning. So you are given here opening balance of retained earnings, that is written at the beginning. At the beginning it is written, and net income or net profit for the year is given to 2,80,000. Net profit is given to 1,860 rupees. 2,860 rupees, and that amount is posted or added with the net income during the income is added with the opening balance of retained earning, and the total amount is 3,360. And dividend paid given in the question. Dividend paid, and the dividend paid is a part of profit distribution or total income available for distribution. So you can write here less dividend distribution of profit. Then in terms of dividend paid, which is given here in the question, 400 rupees dividend paid is given. 400 rupees, which you have seen here, 400 rupees dividend paid given, and that is distributed out of the profit. Another is transferred to general reserve. So when company earns the profit, some amount of profit is distributed or transferred to reserve, and total 600 rupees distributed. So 3,360 minus 600, the remaining 2,760 is called closing balance of retained earnings. This is called closing balance of retained earnings. In this way, we prepare the statement of retained earnings, and in the examination there may be given different types of reserve, sinking fund, and debenture redemption reserve, capital reserve, contingency reserve, etc. Research and development fund or research and development reserve, dividend equalization reserve or dividend equalization fund. Such type of reserves are given, and we distribute. Then we allocate for the distribution out of the total profit available. Then the remaining amount is ending balance of retained earnings.
Sir, त्यो dividend paid income statement मा जान्छ
dividend paid is actually not recorded in income statement. It is given inside the trial balance, so it is part of profit distribution. So always it is dividend received recorded in the PL account or income statement, but dividend paid is always the distribution of profit. It's not expense, it is the part of profit distributed. Therefore, it is always in the retained earning. To calculate the retained earning, dividend paid is the part of distribution of profit. Therefore, it is always in the retained earning, statement of retained earning. You said dividend received. Dividend received is the non-operating income or other income. Therefore, it is recorded in the income statement. Dividend received is recorded on here. Right?
Okay, sir. Go next one.
Did you finish this one? It is simple example how to prepare. Okay, next example we are going to discuss from problem 2.4 from the book, page number 62. Can you see the question? I have here. There is some problem in taking the photos, but can you see or not? First of all, okay, let me show in slideshow view. Okay, amount is not necessary, just we look at here. Sales revenue, it is first we discuss, then we do together, don't worry. म पनि लेख्छु, तपाई पनि लेख्ने सँगसँगै, स्लाइड देखाउनु भन्दा पनि सँगसँगै गर्नु पर्यो, बुझ्नु पर्यो है त. Sales revenue, it is the income, main income. Insurance expense, is it office overhead or selling overhead? It is operating expense. Insurance, is it office or selling? Office expense. Good. General and office, it is clear, it is office expense. Opening stock is given, so it is used to calculate the cost of goods sold. Good. Salary and wage, office expense. And purchase of merchandise, it is also used in the calculation of
cost of goods sold.
Cost of goods sold. Okay, cost of goods sold. And another is return from customer.
Return from customer.
It is sales return. Return from customer is sales return. Return from customer is sales return. So it is minus. Return from customer means it is minus from sales. Another is freight expense on purchase. It is clearly given. It is used to calculate cost of goods sold. It is used in calculation of cost of goods sold. Another is depreciation expense, office and administration or general and administration. Loss on sales, loss on sale of plant.
Non-operating expenses.
Yes, non-operating expense or other expenses. Interest, same. Is it or not? Interest expense is also non-operating. It's not paid. It's not paid for operation of business. It is financing cost, non-operating expense. It is another is account receivable asset side, and we are not asked here balance sheet. दिएको जति सबै रेकर्ड गर्नुपर्छ होइन नि. You are given, you are asked to calculate multiple income statement with classification of expenses into general and administration and selling and distribution. Another is, so balance sheet point not recorded, and these two other current assets are also not recorded. Common stock, this is also not recorded. And rent from subletting, it is other income or not? Rent received, rent from subletting, it is other income or non-operating income. Another is fixed assets, investment, current assets, sorry, cash. They are the balance sheet point we are going to discuss today, not recorded. And rent, administration or selling? Rent,
Administrative.
office and administration expense. Accumulated depreciation. Accumulated depreciation is total amount of depreciation accumulated deducted from the respective assets in the balance sheet. It is not depreciation expense. You keep it in mind. Accumulated depreciation is not the depreciation. It is it is deducted from the respective assets in the balance sheet that we are going to discuss today. Another is notes payable. It is also liability. Notes payable is liability. And retained earning given inside the trial balance is your beginning retained earning. It is recorded in statement of retained earning. It's not necessary to give beginning. Keep it in mind. Beginning retained earning is not necessary to give inside the trial balance. It is always ending balance, sorry, beginning balance of retained earning if it is given in trial balance. And when you need to prepare the income statement पनि बनाउनु छ भनेपछि हामीले त्यो प्रॉफिट लगाएर त्यहाँ जोड्ने हो, त्यसैले beginning balance हो. Another is account payable. It is balance sheet related. Current liability, other current liabilities are also liabilities balance sheet related, not recorded. And in additional information, dividend of rupees 27,000 were declared at the end of the year. What is it? What is it? Dividend.
Dividend paid.
Okay.
Paid है sir?
Is it dividend paid? All of you, where is it recorded and is it dividend paid?
Paid ले त होइन, पुरा paid गर्ने भनेर भनिसकेको हुन्छ.
So it's not declared. So I don't think it is paid. Not clearly mentioned here. And if dividend is paid, it is not given in additional information. When dividend is paid and journal entry is prepared for dividend paid and posted in the ledger and posted in the trial balance. So dividend paid is not given in additional information. हामीले पे गर्यौं भने त journal entry बनिहाल्यो नि. जर्नल इन्ट्री भनेपछि फाइनेन्शियल ट्रान्जेक्सन हो. जर्नल इन्ट्री बन्यो. जर्नल इन्ट्री बनिसकेपछि के गर्छ? रेकर्ड लेजर जर्नल भनेपछि लेजर बन्छ. लेजर भनेपछि इट इज इन्क्लुडेड इन द ट्रायल ब्यालेन्स. So it is given in adjustment and said declared. Declared means just decided. Was it paid?
No, sir.
So it is not paid. It means that it is proposed dividend. Keep it in mind. Dividend paid लेख्ने हैन. Proposed dividend. And another, where it is recorded, proposed dividend, it is the part of profit distribution. So where it is recorded, statement of yes. And transfer to general ledger,
Statement of retained earning.
statement of retained earning. And they both are the distribution of profit, right? And another information here, company estimated that tax expenses for the year, for the period at 30% of profit. So it is the tax expenses deducted in the income statement. And lastly, unsold stock of merchandise fund found at 30th June 2018 of rupees 58,140. Is it closing stock?
Yes.
We are preparing, all of you look at here the trial balance. We are preparing on June 30, 2018. June 30, 2018. Therefore,
Oh, sir, closing.
Therefore, the closing is stock given, unsold stock means stock given on the last date is closing stock. So it is closing stock used for the calculation of cost of goods sold. So all of you, okay, all of you start sales revenue. Okay. Okay. All of you write down
Sir.
sales revenue 5 हजुर
यो अघि भन्दै हुनुहुन्थ्यो नि एकुमुलेटेड डिप्रिसिएसन भने चाहिँ कस्तो हो अरे फेरि भनिदिनु न
if you there are two concepts. I will tell you in detail in cash flow statement. There are two concepts of recording the assets, fixed assets. One is in gross method or gross value, in another is net value. In plus 2 and bachelor level, you studied the fixed assets less depreciation. हामीले fixed asset plan less depreciation, vehicle less depreciation भनेर पढ्यौँ थाहा छ नि ब्यालेन्स सिटमा त्यो भनेको नेट भ्यालु निकाले हो नि त लेस गरेपछि त नेट भ्यालु निक्लियो हो नेट मेथडमा चाहिँ तपाईको depreciation is calculated and deducted from the respective assets in the balance sheet under the net method. And nowadays the balance sheet is prepared with the historical value, historical amount or historical under historical cost. So the value of fixed assets are always presented at the original cost, acquisition cost, and their depreciation are cumulated and provisioned and recorded in the liability side of the balance sheet. जस्तो फर्स्ट इयरको डेप्रिसिएसन भयो सेकेन्ड इयरको डेप्रिसिएसन भयो थर्ड इयरको भयो अनि हाउ मच इज द टोटल डेप्रिसिएसन फ्रम द फर्स्ट इयर टु दिस इयर भन्दा 5000 भयो फर्स्ट इयर सेकेन्ड इयर 5000 थर्ड इयर 5000 भयो अनि टोटल अमाउन्ट अफ डेप्रिसिएसन इज 15000 तपाईले त्यो डेप्रिसिएसन घटाउनु भयो भने नेट भ्यालु आउने हो घटाउनु भएन भने त त्यो एक्युमुलेटेड भयो प्रोभिजन भयो provision for depreciation is recorded under the provision heading or current liabilities and provision heading in the liability side of balance sheet. So that is gross method, gross value presentation. अनि तपाईले फिक्स एसेटको भ्यालु जति छ त्यति नै राखिराख्ने एसेट साइडमा त्यसको डेप्रिसिएसन हरेक वर्षको डेप्रिसिएसनलाई क्युमुलेट गर्दै लायबिलिटी साइडमा राख्ने भने तपाईको एसेटको भ्यालु जहिले पनि के हुन्छ ग्रस भ्यालु हुन्छ दैट इज ग्रस मेथड अनि एक्युमुलेटेड भनेको तपाईको त्यसबाट डिडक्ट नगरिकन क्युमुलेसन हुँदै लायबिलिटी साइडमा राखेको तपाई लेस गर्नेलाई लायबिलिटी साइडलाई लेस गर्नेलाई साइड चेन्ज गरेर लेफ्ट साइडमा ल्याएको हो लेस गर्ने भ्यालुलाई लेस नगरिकन साइड चेन्ज गरेर लेफ्टमा राखेको त्यो चाहिँ ग्रस मेथड भयो ग्रस मेथडमा एसेटको भ्यालु जहिले नै ओरिजिनल कस्टमा प्रेजेन्ट गरिन्छ
ए भनेपछि सर यो एक्युमुलेटेड डिप्रिसिएसन त इन्कम स्टेटमेन्टमा नजाने रहेछ नि
जाँदैन नि त त्यो तपाईको त 1 इयरको भएन नि त दैट इज नट द डेप्रिसिएसन अफ 1 इयर सो यु आर गिवन सेपरेटली देयर डेप्रिसिएसन भ्यालु एन्ड त्यही डेप्रिसिएसन छुट्टै दिएको छ त ल write down 5,17,890 5,17,890 in the first amount column or detail column 5,17,890 and less return from customers 5,17,890 less return from customers is 6,000 write down 6,000 and write down net amount in next line or directly you can write in the amount column यता amount column मा net amount ल राख्नु भए पनि हुन्छ अथवा अर्को next line मा net sales भनेर देखाउनु भए पनि हुन्छ for example NET net sales net sales how much is the net sales 5,11,890 in this way you can write net sales in the amount column or second amount column or total column okay then we deduct the cost of goods sold and cost of goods sold you can calculate in the working note or you can write in the under the cost of goods sold for example we are given here opening balance let me see yes stock at the beginning you are given 72,000 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 16,800 16,800 write down opening stock you can show in the inside the particular column or you can calculate in the working note and directly you deduct from the sales opening stock is 16,800. 16,800. Then add purchase given PURCHASE, purchase. The amount of purchase of merchandise 3,42,450. 3,42,450. 3,42,450. Similarly, we are given freight on purchase, FREI. It is also called freight inward, freight on purchase or freight inward or carriage inward. Okay, next is amount of freight. Let's see the amount of freight on purchase. Freight on purchase is 2,200. 2,200. And any other expenses like import duty, custom duty, excise duty, if such charges are given, they are also added with the purchase. If not, then we deduct the closing stock of merchandise given in the additional information I had already told you, and son 58,140. 58,140, and it is deducted from the total purchase or total goods available. Therefore, write down the net amount, that is called cost of goods sold. How much is this cost of goods sold? Is it 3,03,310?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Three lakh 3,310. How much is gross profit? Gross profit 2,08,000. 2,08,570. 80.
580.
Then what we deduct after gross profit?
Operating expenses.
Operating expenses. You deduct operating expenses. You write down operating expenses less operating expenses. Under operating expenses, there are two headings: general and administration expenses and selling and expenses. So you write down the amount of selling and distribution expenses. Okay, let me show the question. Write down insurance expense 4,560. Insurance expense 4,560. General and office expenses. Insurance. INSURANCE. Insurance expense 4,500. 4,560. Another general and office expenses. GENERAL, general and office expenses. Office expenses, it is 28,670. 28,670. Another is salary and wage. You can see salary. Next is stock finish, salary and wage 72,000. Purchase finish, return finish, freight on purchase finish, depreciation expenses 18,000. Okay. Salary and WAG wages 72,000. 72,000. 72,000. Another depreciation expense, DPRECIA, depreciation EXPENCS, depreciation expense. Depreciation expense. It is, I have told you, 18,000. Depreciation expense 18,000. And similarly, let's see the question. Loss on sale of plant. It is other operating expense, interest, other operating expense, other expenses, account receivable, other current assets. They are assets not recorded, common stock not recorded, rent from subletting, other income, fixed asset not recorded, cash not recorded, rent. Another is rent expenses, and other are the balance sheet related points, so not recorded. In adjustment tax given, is closing stock we have finished, and other two are the retained earning related. Okay. Okay, write down rent expense. Rent expense. Rent expense is 36,000. 36,000. Okay, now take the sum. How much is the sum? Take the sum.
1,59,230.
59 or 69?
159,230.
Okay, got it. Now subtract. Subtract 150, 350, 350, 350. No, is it 49,000?
Yes, sir. Oh, sir.
And sorry. We need to add the office and
Selling,
selling
and
you
distribution.
write down just below this amount. Okay, and another. This is called total A number, total office and administration or general and administration. This is write down total. We have also another expense heading, total general office and selling expenses or office and administrative expenses, but we are not given selling expenses, but we should show the heading SELLING, selling and distribution expenses. Selling and distribution expenses. Selling and distribution expenses. Under selling and distribution expenses, I had already told you, and here are no any selling and distribution expenses. We already discussed the question 2 times. We discussed, we haven't seen any amount of selling related expense, advertisement, salesman, and so on, not given. So we write 0. No any amount given, so you write down here dash write down the total 1,59,000. 1,59,230. In next line, and this is zero amount. In next line, you write down TOT, operating expenses, which is A plus B. And you denote for office and selling and distribution expenses as B. No any point given, but we denote as B. But in other question there will be, and that we discussed yesterday. A plus B, 1,59,230.
तेरो टाइम टेबल फ्लो के हो
टाइम टेबल कहिले का बिहान गर्छौ भयो त म अहिले फुल गर्दा म तेरो त्यसै माइनक्राफ्ट लादा आदे
Finished? Did you finish up to this? Now you calculate the gross profit. After that you calculate, net profit. Total selling and distribution expenses is 0. Okay, 0. I put 0 here, 0. 0 अब यहाँ अर्को लाइनमा अपरेटिङ एक्सपेन्स छ, म अर्कै लाइनमा राख्छु, यहाँबाट हटाइदिन्छु है त, यहाँ देखाउन सजिलो होस् भनेर।
छिटो होमवर्क पोस्ट गर्यो अनि के होला आज सुनाउँदैन के कस्तो के को होमवर्क गर्छ तले मलाई मैले साइन्सको मलाई देखा गेले के भयो लेखेन यहाँ छ
In next slide, selling and distribution expense is 0, so total operating expense is 1,59,230. Now you deduct and you find out the operating profit. Operating profit, gross profit minus, we calculated gross profit. Gross profit 2,08,580. And subtract 1,59,230. We already calculated 49,500. 350. The operating profit. Now add other income and gain. Add other income and gain. Add other income and gain. And other income, I had already shown to you. Other income is sales finish, insurance finish, general finish, stock finish, salary finish, purchase finish, return finish, trade finish, depreciation finish, loss and interest.
Supplementary.
Rent from subletting. Only one.
6,350.
Only one. Rent from subletting. Only 1 point given. Write down rent from subletting. Rent from SUBLE subletting. Rent from subletting. The amount is 6,250. You can directly write here
6,250.
or you can directly add and deduct together, or you write down separately. So you take already the total amount, so you write down here how much it is. 49,350. 49 and 6, 55,600.
49,300.
300. No, 300, 200, 500, 600.
600, 55, 600.
Okay. Now you deduct other expenses and losses. which includes there are two expenses. They are loss on sale of
Loss
plant and interest expense. Loss on sale of plant and interest expense. So all of you write down. LOSS, loss on SALE sale plant. Loss on sale of plant. Another is interest expenses. Interest expenses. Okay, write down their amount in that detail column. Loss on sale of plant is 4,600 and interest expense 9,000. 13,600. We have already added the sum, therefore not necessary to write bracket because we have already written less other expenses, therefore not necessary to write less. If you haven't used here total value, if you haven't written here 55,600 total value, at that time you need to write the bracket. When you have taken the sum, so you can deduct from that sum. So we have already written less 13,600. So the net income before tax 42,000. 42,000. Net income before tax is 42,000. Okay, income tax expense or income tax expense. It is 30% given, so 30% means 13,600.
12,600.
21,000. 31,400.
29,400.
29,400.
29,000.
Okay, we prepare the income statement or multi-step income statement. So net income after tax 29,400. Okay. Now we are going to prepare a statement of return.
Sir, first slide एकचोटि पठाइदिनु न.
हजुर
फर्स्ट स्लाइड एकचोटि देखाइदिनु न.
फर्स्ट स्लाइड
अघिल्लो स्लाइड यो भन्दा.
And this cost of goods sold part you can calculate in note below the income statement, or you can directly present here, whatever you feel easier.
भयो सर, थ्यांक यू सर.
La. Prepare another format, statement of retained earning. Statement of retained earning, and the company name is Patton Wood Carving Company. Patton Wood CARVING Carving COMPANY Company. Patton Wood Carving Company. Retained earning. Statement of retained earning as on June 30, 2018. Okay, and you know the component beginning balance of retained earnings. Beginning balance of retained earnings. Add net income after tax, then total profit available for the distribution, and less distribution of profit. Distribution of profit, I had already told you, dividend was declared, but it is not proposed dividend. Sorry, it is not dividend paid, it is proposed dividend. And transfer to reserve is given. Then after deducting that these two headings, then after the remaining amount of profit is called ending balance of retained earnings. So we are given beginning balance of retained earning is 58,930. 930. Then add net profit. We just now we calculated 29,400. Then their sum is written in the total column. It is 78,330. 78,330.
88,330, no?
88,337.
Yes, sir. Is it 80?
88,330.
Yes, 88,000. Okay, proposed dividend just declared by the company. Declared by the company. That is proposed dividend 27,000. Then after general reserve 12,000. Transfer to general reserve 12,000. Now take the sum and deduct from the 49,000 is the total sum. Okay, deduct 330 at 59.
49,330.
हो डङ्गरा र डुङ्ग्रु गर्दै हुन्छ त हो घरमा फुटाउनु होला है मोबाइल ल्याप्टप पुरै भैँसला जस्तो लागिरहेको डर लागिरहेको छ त्यस्तो नगर्नु त ल this is the statement of return earning. In this way we prepare return earning after calculating net profit. Okay, according to the requirement of this question, we can't prepare the balance sheet, or we do not prepare the balance sheet here because we are not given sufficient information, so we do not try this one. Now we are going to study the format of balance sheet now. Now balance sheet. And I had already told you balance sheet is another statement prepared under the financial statement, and which shows the financial position, liquidity position, solvency position of the business, which also shows the shareholders equity, claim of the shareholder, remaining amount of the claim, remaining amount of assets for the shareholder, that can be identified by preparing balance sheet. So the format of balance sheet, and you have seen balance sheet can be prepared in two ways. All of you keep it in mind. Format of balance sheet can be in vertical and horizontal. So better to follow the vertical format from this level. In second semester in management accounting, in management accounting, we prepare the balance sheet in the horizontal format, especially in the master budgeting, and in other previous level you prepare the balance sheet in the horizontal form. It means T-shape form. But from this level, and most all the company prepare their balance sheet or statement of financial position in the vertical format. And under vertical format, the assets and liabilities can be presented in two ways. You keep it in mind. Can be presented in two ways. They are permanency based or liquidity based. When you have started from the long-term assets, long-term liabilities first, they are called permanency based. When you have started from the current assets, current liabilities first, current assets in the assets heading, current assets, investment, and property, plant, equipment, which is called fixed assets. Then in liabilities also, current liabilities, long-term liabilities, and shareholders equity. And in the order of short-term to long-term, when you prepare the balance sheet and present the assets and liabilities in the vertical format, which is known as liquidity base of preparing or presenting the balance sheet. And similarly, another, when you start from the long-term assets, starting from PPE, are fixed assets. Property, plant, and equipment are fixed assets. Fixed assets, long term to short term, when you present assets and liability in the balance sheet in vertical format, that is called permanency base. त्यसैले तपाईले इक्जाममा अथवा तपाईले कुनै कम्पनीको फाइनेन्शियल स्टेटमेन्टहरू हेर्नुभयो भने अब कुनै कम्पनीकोमा चाहिँ करेन्ट एसेटबाट सुरु गरेर देख्नुहुन्छ, कुनै कम्पनीमा चाहिँ फिक्स एसेटबाट सुरु गरेर देख्नुहुन्छ। कन्फ्युजन नहुनुहोस्। According to NFRS or NAS, there is no strict provision. Any vertical format is recommended, and under vertical format, the balance sheet is prepared on liquidity based base or permanency base, starting from short term or starting from long term assets or long term liabilities. No, there is no problem. है तपाईले हेर्दाखेरि जस्तो म यहाँ फर्मेट देखाइरहेको छु, हेर्नुहोस् त। Okay. I have started from current assets, then investment, then property, plant, equipment, means fixed asset. Keep it in mind. We have to write property, plant, equipment. Then after intangibles. Then after liabilities and equity, under which we started from the current liabilities and long-term liabilities and shareholders equity or shareholders fund. In this way, when we present the balance sheet from current liabilities, current assets to fixed assets, current liabilities to shareholders equity in asset side and liability side respectively, this is the basis of preparing the balance sheet under the liquidity basis. Under the permanency basis, you start from the you will start from the fixed assets or PPE first. पहिला हामी PPE बाट सुरु गर्छौं, then we write intangibles, then after only we write current assets, investment and current assets. यसरी अर्डरमा राख्छौं, that is permanency base. So in the income in the balance sheet of any company, you can see under permanency base or liquidity base. So in the examination also you can present under permanency base or liquidity base. जुनबाट सुरु गरे पनि हुन्छ. Some of you studied the BBA, and at that time there some of your teacher had taught from the PPE, fixed assets, starting from fixed assets. जुनबाट गरे पनि पाइन्छ. अहिले म liquidity basis मा छु, from short term to long term. Under the liquidity base, first we start from the assets. Always we start from the assets under either liquidity base or permanency base assets. And under assets, there are different types of assets. I have just now told you. Current assets is the first heading, and under current asset, cash bank, closing stock, debtor, account receivable, bills receivable, short-term notes receivable, advance payment, prepaid, and office supplies, notes receivable, short-term. They are written first under the current assets.
कपी गर्दा हुने हो
होइन, पहिला एकछिन सुन्नु अनि फर्स्ट विक राइट द करेन्ट एसेट्स है, पहिला सुन्नु मात्रै. अहिले म यो नेक्स्ट स्लाइड जानुभन्दा अगाडि म तपाईँलाई सानो ल्याउन, पहिला सुन्नु करेन्ट एसेट्स. And we take the sum of current assets and written in the second amount column or total column. But according to NFRS, NAS, all these calculations are made in the notes, disclosure and notes. पछि नोट्समा लर राखिन्छ अनि यहाँ के गरिन्छ, only total current assets भने total amount is presented in the only one amount column. There is only one amount column, not necessary to have the two columns. So when all these cash, bank balance, they are calculated in the notes. Note मा लर क्याल्कुलेट गरिन्छ. किन तपाईहरु भोलि फोर्थ सेममा अकाउन्ट होइन, तपाईं फाइनान्स ग्रुप हो, तपाईले भोलि कम्पनीको ब्यालेन्स सिट हेर्दा फेरि सरले एक ठाउँ पढाएको थियो भन्ने हुन्छ नि त, त्यो बुझिदैन. त्यसैले when you have calculated, suppose all these are the current assets given to you or in your company, they are in such condition, all these current assets are calculated in the notes and their total is written here as current assets. Current assets भने total ल्याएर दिन पाइयो. Then but for our study it's not possible to calculate in the notes. Some of the points can be missed there. Therefore another second heading is investment, and mostly you will be given investment or government bond. You keep it in mind, mostly you will be given government bond or investment. or investment in share of any company, investment of debenture of any company, or investment in subsidiary company. And notes receivable, if you are given note receivable, is also if it is long term. If not specified, it is long term. If it is specified as short term, it is written under the current asset. If you are given notes receivable only, it is long term investment, long term notes receivable. If it means when you have given, you have invested or given to somebody else for large amount, in large amount, that amount is called long term investment or notes receivable. But if you are given short-term notes receivable, clearly given in the question, short-term notes receivable, at that time it is current assets. Otherwise, it is long-term. Another is land held for future site. When you have invested some amount, your earnings, some amount of your capital in purchasing the land for future office building or future office site, it is simply the investment. It is not called land and building. It is not land only. It is land held, land holding by the company for future office site. So it is also investment. Or तपाईँलाई यसरी land held for future site दियो भने चाहिँ एसेटमा राख्नु पर्यो, इन्भेस्टमेन्टमा राख्नु पर्यो. ल, first you draw the format with two amount columns and write down this. Then after only we move to next assets, that is property, plant, equipment, called fixed assets. पहिला यसलाई कपी गर्नु छ, त्यहाँ पहिला बुझ्ने अनि मात्रै कपी गर्ने. सार्नु त अलिक छिटो सार्नुपर्छ. सार्नै ढिलो सारियो भने त कसरी पाइयो? त्यहाँ सार्नै पाइयो भने ढिलो सारेर त बर्बाद भएन. सबै दिने त होइन नि एक्जाममा. फेरि तपाईँलाई त्यो पोइन्ट मात्रै भनेको हो. करेन्ट एसेट्स,
नोट रिसिभेबल र अकाउन्ट रिसिभेबल एउटै.
अकाउन्ट रिसिभेबल, बिल्स रिसिभेबल थोरै फरक छ होला. कसैलाई छ? डु हेभ एनी आइडिया फर अकाउन्ट रिसिभेबल, बिल्स रिसिभेबल एन्ड डेटर? थोरै फरक छ, त्यही पनि कसैलाई थाहा छ भने भन्नु.
नोट रिसिभेबल भन्नु भने
notes receivable, bills receivable and notes receivable are same but slightly different here. त्यही फरक भएर म भन्दैछु. अरू पहिला अकाउन्ट रिसिभेबल र बिल्स रिसिभेबल भन्नु नि त. What's the difference between bills receivable and account receivable and debtor? Debtor is the customer to whom goods are sold on credit. So we have right to receive within a month or within a week or within a year. So it is current assets. We have right to receive. And when that debtor commits to make the payment within 7 days or 10 days, 30 days or 20 days or for 2 months, 3 months, 5 months in the oral form or verbally, when he or she commits to make the payment for a certain period of time, that is account receivable. And bills receivable, when he commits in the written form, that is bills receivable. Once it debtor, bills receivable, account receivable are same. Debtor ले तपाईलाई written form मा commitment गर्यो भने पैसा तिर्न, that is bills receivable. Orally, when he or she committed to make the payment, that is account receivable. And notes receivable. And normally notes receivable is used in investment. In investment, when You have invested to purchase the treasury bill for 30 days or for 6 months or any other short-term investment, that is notes receivable. तपाईले कुनै कम्पनीको सेक्युरिटी किन्नुभयो, सेयर डिभेन्चर किन्नुभयो, फर सर्ट पिरियडको लागि किन्नु भएको छ भने that is your investment for the future benefit, that is notes receivable. Normally notes receivable is not used in the trade. ट्रेडमा बेचिने युज गरिँदैन. अब बिल्स रिसिभेबललाई कन्भर्ट गर्नु पर्यो भने इन्भेस्टमेन्टको रूपमा कन्भर्ट गर्नु भन्यो भने चाहिँ नोट्स रिसिभेबल युज गरिन्छ. ओके, डिड यु फिनिश अप टु इन्भेस्टमेन्ट? डिड यु फिनिश अप टु इन्भेस्टमेन्ट? सरोजकोमा अलिक बढी डिस्टर्बेन्स भइरहेछ है. Yes, Saroj, are you asking anything? You raise the hand, so in the slideshow mode it will not be seen. So I couldn't see your hand raised. If you do not have any question, please lower your hand. Otherwise, what's your question? Okay. Did you finish?
Yes, sir, please.
I hope you finished. You didn't say anything. Now, next heading is after that, after calculation of total investment, and the total investment will be written in the second amount column. Now, after calculation of total investment, another heading is property, plant, and equipment, which is simply called fixed asset. You keep it in mind. And most of the students, those who are not from BBA level, at that time they do not know property, plant, equipment, and or they do not have practice to use property, plant, equipment. So it is property, plant, equipment is simply the fixed assets. Simply the fixed assets. Keep it in mind. So land, it has no depreciation. In the previous class, I told you land has no depreciation. It is directly written, but building has depreciation, so it is deducted. So its depreciation is deducted as less accumulated depreciation. So you write down less accumulated depreciation, and the net value of depreciation is written in the amount column, first amount column. So building, and similarly furniture, machine, vehicle, etc., these are included under the property, plant, and equipment. Property, plant, and equipment. So their amount is total and written in the second amount column, which is total property, plant, and equipment. Now after that, intangibles. And there are different intangible assets. Normally we have heard and seen from +2 level, they are goodwill, trademark, copyright, and patent. And their depreciation is calculated, which is called amortization. Amortization is simply the reduction in the value of intangible assets, or reduction in the value means depreciation of intangible asset is called amortization or written off. So I have given you one more example only: goodwill less amortization. There may be patent less amortization. There may be written off or goodwill written off or amortization of trademark or copyright. At that time we deduct by the same process. So these four you have frequently, four assets you have frequently or in the previous level, in the +2 as well as in the bachelor level. So now another, according to NFRS also, there are several other intangibles. So you can read several other intangibles through internet also. Google search what are the example of intangible. यसरी पढ्ने पनि बानी बसाल्नु पर्यो, खोज्नु पर्यो. मैले यति हुन्छ भने यति मात्रै होइन, भोलि तपाईले जान्नु नि पर्यो. अब मैले भनिदिएर दिए सबै सम्झिनु नै हुन्न. Therefore franchise agreement between franchisor and franchisee to use some creation or some innovation or development with a certain agreement that is called franchise agreement, and that is also considered as intangible asset. Nowadays there are other intangibles. They are customer relationship, product designs, and patrons. They are also considered as intangible. Software development cost. Software is also intangible. Software intangible assets.
बच्चाको पनि गरेन
Software is also intangible assets. These are some other examples. Therefore, you calculate the total intangible and write down in the next amount column.
सबैजना घरमा त पढ्दैन नि बाबामा नजिक घर चाहिँ पढ्छ त पढ्छस् त्यस्तै त हुन्छ
Okay, and you write down total intangible.
स्कुलमै पढाउनु ठिक होइन तपाईँलाई
Total intangible.
स्कुलमा जाने दिमाग खाइजाने थाहा छ नि
Total intangible and and all these assets of the second amount columns are added and written added and written in the amount column. Amount column लगाएर राख्नु. All of you copy this.
सर यो अमोर्टाइजेसन भने चाहिँ कस्तो अरे
Depreciation of intangible. A
सर
reduction
यो
in
गुडविलमा चाहिँ कसरी अब
the
हजुर
goodwill or any other intangible assets have legal life or economic life, and their physical life cannot be identified because they are not physical assets, so they are irreal assets. Their life is fixed by the law, like 50 years. That depends upon the country, law of the country, and in some of the countries the life of goodwill is fixed by 50 years or 10 years, or patent and patent, trademark, copyrights are these rights given by the concerned department of government for a fixed period of time, like 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. That depends upon the number of years, depends upon the rules of the government of the respective country. So the life, economic life, legal life cannot be fixed. That depends upon the law of the country. And goodwill also, goodwill according to the usefulness of the goodwill, and goodwill goodwill will be amortized by the fixed period of time as per the decision of the management. And this is not the goodwill of one company. आफ्नो कम्पनीको goodwill त कसरी मेजर गरिन्छ र? And when you acquire the business of other company, at that time you certainly pay some amount of goodwill to that company. And how long do we use that goodwill of other company? So it can be a decision of the management for 10 years or 20 years or 50 years, 30 years. So managementले decide गर्छ 20 yearsसम्म अथवा 5 yearsसम्म राख्ने भन्यो भने divide by 5 गरिन्छ, and every year equal amount of goodwill will be deducted, and after 5 years it becomes zero. आफ्नो goodwill होइन यो, तपाईले जहिले पनि के नबिर्सिनु भने goodwill which you have seen in the balance sheet of the company, that is not the goodwill of the own company. आफ्नै कम्पनीको goodwill होइन त. Goodwill which we have seen in the balance sheet, that is the goodwill, amount of goodwill paid to other company at the time of purchasing their business. अब जस्तो अहिले मर्जिङको कन्सेप्ट भइरहेछ नि, मर्जर एक्विजिसन भइरहेछ भन्यो भने एउटा कम्पनीले अर्को कम्पनीलाई गुडविल पे गरेको हुन्छ, गुडविलको भ्यालु पे गरेको हुन्छ नि, त्यो गुडविल त ब्यालेन्स सिटमा आउनु पर्यो भने how long that goodwill will be used in our new business or in our business when we pay some amount of goodwill to other company. अरूलाई हामीले गुडविलको भ्यालु पे गरेछ भने हामीले त्यो गुडविल कति वर्षसम्म युज गर्ने त? अब 1 year त हुँदैन, किन गुडविल भनेको पर्मानेन्ट एसेट, फिक्स एसेट भनिरहेको छौँ भनेपछि मोर देन 1 year हुन्छ, 2 year, 3 year, 5 year, 10 year, कतिसम्म भन्दा नर्मली company write off their goodwill of other company for 5 years or 10 years. 5 year, 10 years सम्म divide by 5 अथवा divide by 10 गर्दैछ, equal amount will be deducted every year. Right? Now you take the sum of all these assets in the from the second column and write down the total assets. total assets भनेर लेखिदिनु सकियो. Now next is liabilities and equity. Now you write down liabilities and equity. Under liability and equity, and we are following the liquidity base. What I mean, from short term to long term. Short term to long term भन्दैछौँ भने we should start from the current liabilities. है. Under assets heading, current assets, investment, PPE, intangibles. यसरी जानुहुन्छ तपाईँ भने under liabilities, current liabilities, short-term liability, and long-term liability, and equity. So first we have finished the asset side. Now liabilities and capital. We talk capital and liabilities in the bachelor and plus 2 level, but here we write capital is the shareholders' capital. Therefore, it is called equity. So liability and equity or shareholders' equity. This is the next side. Next side, it means liability and liability and the equity, or liability and the shareholders equity. Under liabilities, we start from the current liability under the liquidity basis or short term to long term basis. So under the current liability, there are different types of current liabilities. In short, very important is their bank loan payable mature within a year. You keep it in mind. And another is any payables are current liabilities except long-term loan or bond payable. Long-term loan payable or bond payable, all payables are current liabilities. All outstanding are current liabilities. Another is pre-received income current liability or advance received income current liability. And another is current maturity of long-term debt or long-term loan. If you are given bank loan payable, just for example, and you are preparing the income statement for 2019, and if you are given their bank loan dues for 2020, dues in 2020 means you are preparing in 2019, last of 2019, and dues in 2020 means it will be paid within a year. So it is not long-term loan. Keep it in mind. तपाईलाई दिँदा नै क्वेशनले के दिन्छ, long term loan in bracket dues in 2020. You are preparing for 2019 and you are given dues 2020. It means that is it 1 year period or not? 19 को लास्टमा बनाउँदै हुन्छ, 20 मा पे गर्ने भनेपछि is it short term or long term?
Short term.
Is it short term or not? It is short term. So you should keep in the under the current liabilities heading. Even the long term owed is written. Long term लेखे पनि त्यही हो है. Another is current maturity of long term, that is same. यसैलाई नै भनेको हो, एउटै कुरा हो. यसलाई अर्को शब्दमा दिन सक्छ भनेर मात्रै मैले सेपरेट बनाइदिएको. Bank loan payable maturity within a year or current maturity of long term भनेर दिन सक्छ, that is same. So these are the current liabilities, and we should take the sum of current liability and write in the total. And long term debt or long term liabilities, which includes, I had already told you, notes receivable is long term assets, long term investment, and notes payable is long term liabilities. So long term notes payable, bond payable, long term loan, mortgage loan, bank loan, they all are the, and for bank loan it is not necessary to write payable, and when you are given bank loan only, it is also long term liabilities. Long term liabilities were, now take the sum of such long term liabilities and return write in the total amount column or second amount column. Do you have any questions here in the current liability and long term? केही छ नि भन्नु, सोधिहाल्नु है. लेख्दै पनि हुन्छ तपाईँ, केही कन्फ्युजन सोधि पनि हाल्नु पर्यो. केही छुटपुट भएको वा फोर्सेममा पढौँ भन्ने पनि भएन. तपाईहरुको फाइनान्स ग्रुप भएको हुनाले केही कन्फ्युज छ भने सोध्नु. अहिले त च्याट चुप गर्नु भएन त के हो, सार्न पाएपछि त चुपचाप हो त.
सर यो long term डेटमा यो नोट्स पेएबल मात्रै भन्यो भने डेट स्पेसिफाई गरेन भने चाहिँ long term मै लेख्ने हो.
Exactly, you are right.
हजुर कन्फ्युज अहिलेसम्म त हामीले त्यो करेन्ट लाइबिलिटीमा लेख्थ्यौँ नि त त्यही भएर।
It is to be specified. Our notes payable maturity in 2020 भन्दियो. Suppose
हजुर हजुर
you are preparing for 2019. Suppose you are preparing the balance sheet in 2019. And you are given the assets liabilities of 2019 data, and there is written notes payable dues in 2020 भन्यो त within 1 year भयो नि त होइन र?
हजुर सर
So it is under the current liability. And if you are given notes payable only, it is long term. त्यतिखेर चाहिँ long term भयो. Or this is bond payable. In Nepal or in Asian country, we use the note payable word, but in Western market or US market, it is used as bond payable. That's the difference. So bonds payable is long term, and notes payable is also long term.
हजुर थ्याङ्क यू
अरू त तपाईँलाई झुक्काउँदैन यो बुकमा नि एउटा एक्सर्साइजमा छ जुन यो करेन्ट म्याचुरिटी भन्ने छ नि बुकको क्वेसनमा पनि छ त्यो झुक्काउँछ नि करेन्ट म्याचुरिटी यहाँ छ जस्तो 2.6 को क्वेसनमा छ तपाईँ 2017 मा बनाइरहनु भएको छ यु आर गिभन द ब्यालेन्स सिट इन्फर्मेसन फर 2017 and there is written long term notes payable due in 2019 भन्यो त इट इज मोर देन 1 year भयो 18 भन्दिया भयो सर्ट टर्ममा जान्थ्यो करेन्ट लायबिलिटिजमा जान्थ्यो 19 भनेपछि हो लङ टर्ममै जान्छ है त्यहाँ डेटले पनि फरक पार्छ अनि अर्को तपाईको सायद यो उसमा केसमा छ होला एउटा क्वेशन भयो सक्नु भयो डिड यु फिनिश
सक्यो सर
Okay, now next heading is shareholders equity, which is calculated by dividing into two groups, or you can directly write equity. माथि तपाईले दुई तरिकाले गर्न सक्नुहुन्छ है shareholders equity मात्र लेखिदिन सक्नुहुन्छ or you can separate contribute into contributed capital and just for a minute all of you look at here यसरी पनि तपाई गर्न सक्नुहुन्छ है shareholders equity. Just a minute, look at here. यो भनेको भन्ने चाहिँ पहिला बुझ्नु पर्यो अनि त्यसपछि so shareholders equity or shareholders fund है that is no there is no any difference equity and shareholders equity or simply you can write equity and shareholders equity can be classified into two groups as contributed capital and earned capital यसरी म छुट्टाएर गर्छु भने नि पाइयो earned capital and contributed capital छुट्टाएर गर्छु भने पाइयो or when you do not want to separate earned capital and total capital you can write like this look at here I have erased contributed capital भन्ने नै हटाइदिए मैले भनेपछि what is contributed capital and what is earned capital भन्दा contributed capital means capital contributed by the shareholders in terms of equity share and preference share and another earned capital means some amount of ending balance of retained earning remained in the statement of retained earning that remaining amount of profit from statement of retained earning is known as earned capital जुन हाम्रो balance statement of retained earning मा ending balance of retained earning थियो नि that is called earned capital. So in this way when you want to classify as contributed capital and earned capital you can show or you can directly write stockholders equity as equity share capital, preference share capital and paid in excess of par or additional paid in capital, and or it is also called share premium and retained earning. In this way you can write छुट्टै राख्न पनि सक्नुहुन्छ तपाईं, separately राख्न पनि सक्नुहुन्छ, or combinedly you can write all these. मतलब यसरी छोटा छोटै राख्नु भयो पनि हुन्छ, राखिए पनि भयो। अनि लास्टमा तपाईं यहाँ चाहिँ total STOCK stockholders equity. You can write total stockholders equity, and in the total amount directly you can write in the total column. यसरी लगाएर total column मा डाइरेक्ट राखिदिनु भए पनि नि हुन्छ। And finally we calculate the total liabilities and stockholders equity. त्यसपछि यो liability side को सबै total गरिदिनुस्. It is total liability and stockholders equity. And here in the plus 2 and bachelor level, till plus 2 and bachelor level you studied share premium word, but in books of account it is written as paid in capital and paid in excess of par value when company issues the shares over its par value of ₹100. In Nepalese practice, the face value of the share, par value of the share is ₹100. When company issues the share over the par value ₹100 at 120, 130, 150, 200, 300, 500, 600, the additional amount received over the face value or par value is known as additional paid in capital or paid in excess of par value, or it is also called share premium. है तपाईहरुलाई share premium भनेर आयो त बुझिहाल्नुहुन्छ। If you are not given share premium, there may be paid in excess of par value or additional paid in capital. Additional paid in capital भनेर आउन नि सक्छ। है त अब यो टोटल गरिदिनुस्। It is the format of balance sheet.
सर यो जनरल रिजर्भ ब्यालेन्स सिटमा जाँदैन?
जान्छ, रिजर्भ जान्छ, त्यसलाई चाहिँ हामी इक्विटी भित्रै राख्छौँ। तपाईँ त्यतिखेर के गर्नुहुन्छ, यो रिटेन अर्निङसँगै जोडेर राखिन्छ। एनएफआरएसमा चाहिँ रिटेन अर्निङै जोडेर राखिन्छ। त्यही भएर तपाईँ रिजर्भ भनेर लेखिनु, नभए एनी रिजर्भ लेखिनु न, एउटा टर्म थपिदिनु न, एनी रिजर्भ, एसइआरबी, एनी रिजर्भ्स, एनी रिजर्भ भनेर थपिदिनु न।
हस्,
किन भन्दा एनएफआरएस अनुसार चाहिँ तपाईँको के हुन्छ, रिजर्भ मात्र लेखिन्छ, रिटेन अर्निङ, रिजर्भ, प्रिमियम, they all are added there, and only in the balance sheet we can see capital, the amount of capital which is the combined amount of equity and preference. So detailed information can be seen from the notes and disclosure मा गएर नोट मा गएर हेर्नु पर्यो, कमन कति रहेछ, प्रेफरेन्स कति रहेछ, त्यहाँ गएर हेर्नु पर्यो कि। त्यसैले यहाँ लेख्दाखेरि के लेखिन्छ, शेयर क्यापिटल or common share capital and reserve, and another is non-controlling interest. तपाईँ 4th सेम नपढ्ने अकाउन्ट नपढ्ने भएर म तपाईलाई अलि डिटेल भनिदिँदैछु है। non-controlling interest के हुने भयो, शेयर क्यापिटल, रिजर्भ, non-controlling interest, अरु केही पनि देखिँदैन यहाँ चाहिँ ब्यालेन्स सिटमा। The balance sheet is very short according to NFRS. All detailed calculation are not detailed liabilities, detailed assets, detailed capital are not seen in the format of balance sheet. They all are presented in the notes. Therefore, the balance sheet is very concise and can be used for the analysis. So reserve, अब यो रिजर्भलाई पनि तपाईँ उसमा एनएफआरएसमा छुट्टै रिजर्भ राख्छ। अब हामी राख्दाखेरि यहाँ रिटेन अर्निङ रिजर्भ भनेर राख्ने भयो इक्जाममा चाहिँ हामीले स्टुडेन्टको पोइन्ट अफ भ्यूले भन्दाखेरि है त। कमन स्टक, प्रिफर्ड स्टक, एडिसनल पेइङ क्यापिटल, रिटेन अर्निङ एन्ड रिजर्भ्स के गरिदिनु टोटल आयो ल। दिस इज द फर्मेट अफ balance sheet. Problem 2.6 from page number 63, and the required is, and let me read the question. First, prepare the income statement for the year ended December 31st, 2017, and the income statement should be in multi-step format, and second, prepare the classified balance sheet at December 31, 2017. But you are not asked in this question for retained earning. Statement of retained earning चाहिँ तपाईलाई सोधेको छैन. अब statement of retained earning सोधेन भने कसरी गर्ने हो यी कुराहरु पनि हामी यसमा सिक्छौं. ल, this is the question. एक क्वेशन यो छ अहिले